Hello everyone, my name is Lorthorn, and you are here to learn what is Iratus, Lord of the Dead, and I have some answers. So Iratus, Lord of the Dead is a roguelike RPG based on Darkest Dungeons. However, in this game you play the role of the bad guy. I think it's a good attempt to try to make a game based around being the bad guys and a necromancer. A lot of people have tried this genre, and it falls flat really hard a lot of the time. I can't come up with a ton of examples, but you just look for Necromancer games and a lot of their reviews aren't the greatest. Anyways, Iratus gives it definitely a good attempt. So, let's get into a bit about this game and its development, all that sort of stuff. You'll find in the description where to skip to have time if you want to see gameplay, final thoughts if you should buy it or not. All those will be linked. Alright, so Iratus is developed by Unfrozen. Unfrozen is an independent little group, or not completely independent, but they're their own published group that came up, not publishing, development group that came up, and they tried to kickstart this game. They got $23,000 for their kickstart, so seemingly that's definitely a part of their budget. They haven't done any other games from what I can tell, and I don't really know much about their history, so this might be their first game. Now, the game was developed by Totalbiscuit Entertainment, I hope I pronounced that right, and as you can see over here, they actually advertise their games in this menu screen. I always hate seeing advertisements, even if it's for other games that a publishing company has made, and that is because I've paid for a game, I've bought it, I've spent money, so I don't need to see ads in a project I've bought. So, I don't know, this little panel here, it annoys me. It definitely puts me on edge. It's not what I would like to see, but sometimes I think they have to do it. Now, the publishing company has published other games that I've recognized, like Witch It, Shadow Tactics, and Shift Happens, and I know those games have been relatively well received. I don't know their popularity. Shift Happens actually was very well received. It's a very popular puzzle game for two people to play, so it's definitely on the streaming YouTube end of things. So publishing companies seem to believe in this game slightly. Alright, so running wise, what this game requires, what it says it needs at the lowest is 1 GB of RAM and basically any processor. So this game at a minimum says it can run basically with anything, like a very cheap laptop. In reality though, it recommends at least an i5 processor, 4 GB of RAM, and a GTX 760. Now that last thing I actually don't know what that means, I'll have to look more into graphics cards, but it seems to say you need like a not even mid-tier, like low mid-tier computer to run this game, so it's fairly easy to run. Art-wise, you can tell right away. Like they definitely have an art style. Got Iratus here, or assume Iratus. All bare shirt, rising out of tomb, bunch of skeletons around him, and it's very like animated art. It's like sort of 2D. It's a 2D drawing with light animation attached, which is a popular style for easier art, like skeleton fingers moving a bit. So go to options here and look at this option menu. So game options is generate initial squad at start. So it'll give you initial squad, just gameplay wise. Interface is in English, voices English. They have options though. Interface has a ton of options here. And the voice has a lot of options too, and they have subtitles. Now, thing to note, this game isn't early access, but still, they have released it to be bought, which means they should have some standard of quality. I feel like, and as they said, this early release is for balancing, so they're basically using buyers as QA testers, which I'll get into that later. So graphics options, they have Revolution, brightness, and full screen, so you can't actually tweak the game as of yet. I don't know if it'll get better, but this is the product they're presenting now and trying to sell. So as of yet, doesn't seem you can make it any weaker or any better. So that's just what the graphics are. And sound-wise, they just have controls for volume. They have a little bit of brightness. Their graphics menu is very sparse. However, It's got some nice, meaningless sliders. They don't give you any information, but nice little skulls. They click in, so that's very, very tactile, sort of grabby feel. The highlight there. Their menu at least has some looks to it. Brightness, so-so. Yeah, it's got some nice looks, like filling in with a skull. So they definitely got style down. Credits, they probably got all their backers in here. So that's a feature. It's nice to give people things. Alright, start a game. Before we get into that, I want to show some other stuff. So at the start of this game, they have a disclaimer, which makes me, anyways, a little bit worried that they would throw in a disclaimer at the start of the game, but let's read through this. So, Iratus, the Lord of the Dead is a hardcore tactical roguelike. This game is difficult and your minions will likely die, and don't think they are expendable just because they're already dead. Every fight is a challenge and resources are always limited. Enemies are strong, show no mercy towards their undead opponents. You'll need to play smart and adjust your strategies for different encounters and enemy types. In short, be prepared to spend several hours mastering the game to achieve victory and bring death to the mortal lands. So, this disclaimer here is partly just talking about this game is hard. Which, I don't know, you should... I don't feel like I like that entirely, disclaimer saying this game is hard. You can assume that if it is inspired by Darkest Dungeon, which this game is. And then, this game is in early access, in-game mechanics, text, and balances can be changed in the future. So they said can, which I assume means will, but they said can there. That's just that language. And then they actually, still, that nice tactile thing, like they definitely, that's a good art feature. I like that when you hover over a button and it does more than just highlight or something, or a mouse shows up, it shows a change in graphics. So that's really good. So hit play a game, shows up again, and if you click on it, then it will send you to a link. So again, even more, So when you start a new game, I have several new games started here. It forces you to play the tutorial to a certain point, which I don't like. I think you should never be forced to play a tutorial. Because even people like figuring stuff out for themselves, like you can't just take someone's control of a game. Like maybe locking harder difficulties, I'm even partly against that. But maybe it's something you have to earn to get harder difficulty. Like the hardest. But just the locking away there doesn't feel great. Like, oh, you have to tutorial first because we don't trust you to understand how to play this game. Maybe it's an early access thing, I don't know. Then they've got Cakewalk, so they do very much the difficulty thing of easy mode. They try to insult you, which is a fine thing, and then it's more pain. So it jumps from Cakewalk to more pain. So it makes you wonder, okay, well, what's the actual balance? And then you can read it up there, various different things. But let's get into the game I want to demo with, which I'm playing in easy mode here. Again, nice little tactile 3D model spinning there. Little splash art here. And then you get into your main control zone of the game. So let's go through this, shall we? So, or in fact, let's go through combat first. Let's go through the core feel of this game. Because that's, I think, a great way to express if people want to see that. So going to choose this squad here. Maybe I should vary it up a bit, actually. Who's in here, although there's damage. So let's throw in the skeleton there. So again, little nice things, highlights here. Again, just want to point out quickly the art. Like, it's very nice art. It's got that sort of 2D, 3D feel to it. It's very weird, not exactly sure what that's called. But they also got all the malls down here. So let's go dungeon, let's do a battle. Choose this slightly injured, weaker squad, but just to show variety. It's not like I'm trying to win this game. So, proceed through and get into combat. So, again, they've got this weird 2D, 3D model sort of thing going on. And the battle starts pretty quickly. This guy does a stance, but we'll get into that. So, again, like, these models are absolutely gorgeous here. Little highlight around them sparkling, so it's showing current turn, also showing you who you've moused over. Then enemies, highlighting them in red. It's very tactile, so rising off, going in. It's just nice little details. They got a little burning fire under them. And it's a very nice sort of feeling look to it. Like if you look at the knight here, he rotates and you see the different parts of his 3D model but also it's 2D at the same time, which is a very cool thing. I love the design. It's a very unique creature. Like, okay, let's take a skeleton, and he's got candles all over his head, which I just love. And his sword, it's a fancy sword. Then the zombie, they're like, okay, we're going to give the zombie a cannon, which is freaking great. Like, just get this big guy cannon. Got a knife sticking out, but nudged nails in him. Then we got our Dark Knight here. Again, it's just very nice design. Got a hole in him. Then we got the Bride of Iratus, who is like a sort of sexy zombie lady. Not entirely sure what they're going for there. It's kind of disturbing. It's like a joke that Iratus designs her with his young male fantasy. Got very sinister bad guy music going on. Alright, so looking at this interface, turn order up here. Very quick turn order. There's a abandoned battle button right here. Not exactly sure what that does. Might kill all your guys. Haven't clicked it. Should try it out. And then down here, so turn the selected person, you get all their stats. People you're mousing over, you get their stats over here. Quick stats, there's attack, so how much damage they do. Dread, which is how much stress damage you do. Accuracy, your chance to hit. And evasion, your own evasion. Your luck, likelihood of landing a critical hit. Armor, prevents damage from getting dealt. Resistance, absorbs damage. Block, ward, so magic resistance. Different kind of block, and then initiative, how fast you are. And then they got all their abilities here, and it's very much the Darkest Dungeon of what position, what order you're in is where you're at. So just going to do a quick thing here. Hit one of the strong guys, so fire arrow. She says little lines, so it's this little flavor text they add to this game. And then you can cast spells over here, so Mocking Slap, Iratus, deals damage to target, extra 50 if they are set on fire. So if I want, I could light on fire. You notice there are Iratus' voice lines, which is just a part of it. Bunch of different things here. So this guy's already has an upgrade ability, which is Smite the Show Off. So this person currently has a buff, which means, well, it's not a buff, it's just a stance. But so Smite the Weak, I was trying to get, he hits 3 times if someone has a buff. All the different enemies have different attacks and little animations they do for their attacks as well. And you got our big Dark Knight here. Light armor, probably damage dealing as well. And just going to smack this guy. So whenever you hit or get hit or missed in this game, you also build up rage here. This little mirror. Again, interface. I should go through it quickly. I just want to talk about everything. There's a lot going on. So the rage down there powers your minion's stronger abilities, and the mana powers their spells. So like a stronger ability for this minion is his cannonball. So I hit this conscript, hopefully with a cannonball, deals a huge amount of damage, uses up a lot of my rage, and sends the zombie back in order. And these guys are all attacking. Conscript gets to go extra time. Now, can do Mocking Slap, which I want to get stronger. So I break down and hurt him more. So another huge part of this game, though, is if you play Darkest Dungeon, as the heroes of the game, you have your health and you have your sanity. Now they have this extra bar underneath, which is their sanity HP. So this game takes it very much that you are the bad guys of Darkest Dungeon in the way that you are trying to spook these fellows. So here, I hit this conscript, and I damaged his sanity instead. So he has now less sanity, which will affect him. They can go insane, and they can die of heart attacks like in Darkest Dungeon. So it's kind of going through that feeling to it. So I'm not attacking this guard, because I think he'll die by the fire. Yeah, he'll take 9 true damage, which will kill him. So I don't even need to attack him anymore. So, again, so the skeleton here can take like 30% damage, a bunch of different abilities. So he could take 30% damage and deal 30% sanity loss. So if I did this, he'd get hurt and he'd get hurt, but it's current HP. So this guy is taking defensive stance, which will mean whenever a minion moves, then I get attacked. So here, we have a guy go insane. So in Darkest Dungeon, your people can go insane, start falling apart. And here it goes the same, this guy is panicked. And he's received more initiative, more evasion, he's lost accuracy, and he has a high chance to just skip his action. So he's basically like, he's lost it. If we want to, just going to go into this stance, which will hopefully he won't die. So he's taking a Sinister Strike, which moves him back in turn order. Now my skeleton here can use Shield Banger, which is his special ability, which spooks a bunch of people. And they go right after him. Now my spell's back again. So I could just crush this guy here. And again, Iratus speaks. It's a bit like the Ancestor speaking in Darkest Dungeon. However, it's not as good as the Ancestor. I prefer the Ancestor to Iratus, but still what they're going for. So this guy's weak here, so he's lost a bunch of stats as well. And might try to give him a heart attack here, so miss that because he's panicking. And now my zombie calls down a bunch of aerial strikes on them, so that's basically what this does, is he gets ready to call down a bombardment on them. And this guy wants to escape and kills my skeleton, so that's going to happen. You're going to lose minions in this game. That's very much a thing that happens. So, again, going to try to spook this guy, bring him down to 0 sanity, then shoot him with the arrow here, give him a heart attack, hopefully. He still hasn't received a heart attack, so he's probably going to get away. But I'll still cannonball this guy. And whenever the enemies die, then they spook. So yeah, there you go. He got a heart attack, he died from that. Lost the skeleton, but you get a bunch of stuff to replace whoever you've lost. So, and Iratus levels up as well slowly. So minions that weren't in the fight heal up, and you switch them out if you want to, just so they have a chance to recover. Minions level up as well, but my minions aren't haste level up. So that was the battle though. So that's that done. Now let's go into this whole scene here. So first we got the dungeon, the overmap. It's got a bunch of different paths to choose to go down. And basically you come to crossroads at points, like right here where you go, okay, do I want to do this battle or do I want to do this battle? And I don't know what either of these battles mean. Then another crossroad comes up here. Again, this battle, this battle. Some of the crossroads are nicer choices. Like, well, earlier back along this track, I could go, ooh, do I want items or do I want healing and mana? So you get to sort of choose where you go along in this game. That's the map. Now there's the talents that Iratus can level up with. I currently have 0 points, but I've gone Destruction Magic. And it's like level up charts. They're rather small, but they do a bunch of stuff. So like Advanced Ballistics will make the zombie permanently stronger. So you slowly level stuff up with these various different things. So there's Destruction, there's Magic, there's Ire. That's based around Brilliant Range. Destruction's attack spells. Magic is buffing your guys, and Alchemy is working with like all the stuff here. So then there's the creation of units in this game, which we find over here. And this is a big part of the game, is you basically go, alright, I want to make something new. So let's say we want to make ourselves a Banshee. Or, yeah, let's make a Banshee. So we fill this up, and we get all these things that we craft a Banshee. However, you may notice, one of the things in this game is that there is this little blue thing here. And that is makes the Banshee stronger. Having stronger parts makes the monsters stronger. So we can again fill that, because I don't have enough things to bind anyways. And we can craft.
Useful if you can put up with their constant whining.
Iratus is a little line. I think there should be a way to turn him off from speaking after a while. Maybe you can just mute voices or change languages. And then it gives you a little thing about each character. Also highlights which ones you can actually build. That gives you a bit of information about each one. So it's saying like a fairly unimpressive warrior whose stout characteristics is their utter mediocrity. So, like, it gives a little bit of lore to each character, and it's got their stats, their splash. Again, the art is very nice in this game. Get back to that later. There's creation, and then it has all their abilities here, what they can get, and then upgrades, which doesn't show them here. So, how do you get those better, stronger bits? Well, there's a part of the game called Alchemy, which I think is actually kind of cool, deciding if you want lots of minions, or if you want to have them get stronger. So if we take skulls, for example, fill them up, we can create a new skull. And the skulls actually don't all, like, as you can see, this one is +2 vigor, where this one's +1 dread. So they don't always give you the exact same stats. And I think with alchemy, you should just be able to grab and drag, like it sort of has this feel if necessary. Maybe it's hard to program. Again, more dread. We can bind a bunch of weapons together, or armor, so fill armor. Make more dread armor. And then get these bones in here, combine them with more accuracy, grab the skulls again. And it completely, so it's no continuity carries over from what they are, but it is better than the original. Now we could grab weapons here. Level that up, so vigor weapon, vigor, dread, and now we get vigor and armor. So they combine together and make something new. And there is 3 tiers, as you can see up here. So there's uncommon, rare, and legendary. And now we can go to creation. We can fill it up, and we can get a super skeleton built here with all these good bits. And so the skeleton's going to have better stats than any other skeletons. Now if we click on our skelly friend, we can see just in general all the things he's got. So he's got these levels up, which you can spec into different things. The trees, I would like them to be bigger. Maybe they do if you play further on, but they seem rather limited, the levels up at the moment. It'd be nice to see them bigger. And upgrades, I don't know what this is. Maybe that's like permanent upgrades to the units, because I've seen that before. Down here, these are all locked. One of the upgrades lets you unlock them. Then you can find some items along the way to equip your guys with. I don't have any at the moment, but you can equip them. So it's fairly basic, but still very nice looking. And you can rename your units. So I can rename this skeleton Edwin if I want to. And now I have Edwin here. So you can make your own named people and grow more attached to them, even though they're horrible undead monsters. Alright, artifacts. So this is where you can equip items to Idris. So currently I've got a grappling hook, which gives my minions more luck, more accuracy and evasion. Got some robe on him, which makes enemies lose their warding. And I got amulet, which makes 4 uncommon parts. Minions have more HP. So basically it buffs all my minions with a lot of uncommon parts. And then I could equip this glass dagger, which makes my minions more accurate and deal more damage as long as they're not hurt. Kind of useless. This thing here gives me more consumables. Liquid gives me a chance to stun with my spells. Kind of cool. And this thing's like, ooh, do I want to gamble on it? All enemies gain +20 vigor or into the end of battle. But Iratus gains additional 6 common parts, so it's one-time use. So I can grab that and change the chance of the battles. So again, this art though in this place very nice, very movie, this 3D sort of feel to it. Then there is Idris figures, like there's little deals, like his finger wiggling there. It'd be nice if there's like a few more, like maybe a rat crawled around, but still it's pretty good. You can also select everything from up here. You can see all the stuff you have. Your mana's right there. Then you can click on this thing, and it gives you information about the enemies. However, it's not the first time you fight them. You have to find the information scraps for the future, so it can be slightly frustrating if you're constantly going through them and you don't see any of this stuff. But when you fight them, you can see what it's about, and it also gives you a nice little story. So they've definitely done writing for this game, and the writing's not terrible. Now, another part of this game, which gives it a sort of legacy feel to it, which a lot of people seem to like, is these here. So I've got the Lich fellow, I've got the Mummy unlocked, and he required me to get someone to level 5. They unlock across all your playthroughs when you've unlocked them. So like the Lich, need to kill a bunch of enemies. Handhunter, need to beat a bunch of bosses. Blood Phantasm just requires a lot of Wrath's Wrath for ultimate abilities. Vampire, turn 5 enemies into a vampire. So, I'm not sure how to do that, but whatever. Maybe it's a spell. She's got the shades here. So you got like a whole bunch of different ways to unlock people. And they'll eventually show up. Now, a cool part of this game, which I like it for my own personal reasons, which is the graveyard. So we got like the Chamber of Idris, where Idris is in, but then you go in the graveyard, you get this sort of like ruined old place here. And if I click on this lake, got these building points, and it's a dead lake, so I drag her in here.
Millennia has tainted the waters around my tomb. I can feel something alive beneath the dark surface of the lake. Something I can use.
And you get this lake that you can further upgrade these things, but you get this lake, so peering into the murky water, each minion has a chance to discover a random item in the lake. So you can throw your minions into these things and they'll do stuff for you while you wait, which also makes your roster have more room. But this whole place feels very...
How unfortunate that I need to rely on mortal knowledge to recover my powers. It's akin to trying to quell hunger with breadcrumbs.
This game feels very much... this area just feels very much like the Necropolis from Heroes of Might and Magic 3. Like, just the look and feel, the art's really nice to it. I quite like the art feeling to it. You can just heal people entirely in here. So I can throw him in. And there's like little bits of animation going on. I think it'd be cool if they lit up if people were actually in them. Doesn't appear to be the case. So I go back here. You also have limited building points, so all I can build right now are zombies. Yeah, so there's just like a lot of nice, like I really like the art of this game. It's very nice art, very nice little touches, nice details. However, this game is in early access, and it does have some amount of problems, but we can get into that later. So here we have a sacrificial altar. So I'm going to grab this injured zombie and put the mummy in there instead. And then I'm going to go to map. So there's like various different things. So we go here. Hello. And I'm going to sacrifice this zombie. And out of it, I can choose one of these items. So I'm going to grab the spiky armor and go back into here. Go grab my friend, I guess. Throw him out there. And where are we at? Where are we at here? Creations? No. No, we just want to click on this guy. And as you can see, we actually have these items. So we got all of them. So I can equip him with the armor. Once it's equipped, you can't take it off. And I can equip him with this dagger. So start turn at position 3. So I'm just going to switch that around. So again, like nice little items that I can only be equipped once though. Then to this guy, I can give these two things to make him stronger. So again, there's little items, there's little bits and feelings to this game. Very Darkest Dungeon feeling to it, but it's like trying to make you the bad guys. I think you could have done different ways, but this definitely is a cool way to do it. Like you're trying to reclaim your kingdom. It's not so much they're assaulting you. So then, again, another feature is, well, that was accidental, that immediate click, but I was trying to select them, is there's elite enemies, which are a lot stronger and wearing gold, a lot scarier. that you have to fight in this game. So, I'm going to give some buffs here, and going to just make sure everything is working to what I want. Just make sure everything's working. So, got sort of set up. This battle's already going poorly-ish, but I've got armor on my guys. It's not the end of the world. So, I can basically just try to deal as much damage as I can. This guy's very bulky though, he's got armor. And there's a block, so you got little shields down there which block what's going to hit you. And there's a whole lot of things that can be done with this game. And people move around and stuff. So,
your frail body.
Crits make them worry more, so it's very much like the crits from Darkest Dungeon of crits making you worry. So, let's give my opinions of this game. I like the art. I've said it several times. I really, really like the art. It's gorgeous in so many ways. They got nice little details, nice little bits and bobs to this game, which really help add to it. They've got little things that you can notice, little details that go on. Like this guy here, he's injured, and so you see that he's starting to bleed a bunch. And so like the injury to the enemies, they slowly get injured. It tries to like take the role of you being a bad guy, which I always like the approach of a game. Of just trying to, I don't know, show the villain's perspective of the game. We're not even like trying to show perspective, but just the playing the villain can be fun. Getting to play the bad guy can definitely be fun. There's definitely something very satisfying to that. Now, looking at the reviews, people say that this game gets very hard and feels impossible to complete sometimes. I don't know. I came into this game expecting it to be hard. Maybe it's unfairly hard. But I just assume that this is a Darkest Dungeon-like game, and so it's going to be hard. The balancing is going to change by all accounts as well. They said that. Or it can change. And they might very well do it from the reactions. But people, like, I notice a lot of complaints are people saying it's too hard. And I don't entirely find that, not yet. I haven't played the game much. So maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. But I don't find this game super hard. It's difficult at times, but I embrace that difficulty. It's like Darkest Dungeon. They say the restarts are brute or losing. And I don't know, if you like lose one of these fights, do you lose entirely? Maybe that's a feature that shouldn't be in it. But from what I can tell so far, it's just a game you have to know what you're doing to play it well. But maybe I'm wrong on that count. I'm trying to be informed as I can, but I also just want my first impressions of what this game is. That's what I want to give. I shouldn't be attacking him. See, that's my own fault. You have to figure out the strategy of this game. Each game needs its own strategies. And the balance will just really change it. Now, a game being released in early access has its own problems. Which is, well, first of all, it's an unfinished product that they're trying to sell. And they're doing it for getting, what is it? They're doing it to basically get more money to help them balance the game, like tide them over while they're trying to balance out this game. And they're also doing it to basically have people be QA testers for them in this game so they can balance it. Now, if your game's not spectacular, that can tank your that can tank your popularity, which has happened with this game. It's got mixed reviews. Some people say they like it. The top reviews are saying, oh, this game has balance problems. I think that those people might not be used to Darkest Dungeon games, or maybe they are. I can't assume everything. But, like, this time game is hard. I mean, you're the bad guys, and the bad guys do lose. And I think the game's enjoyable to just follow the flow while it's going and trying to unlock all the minions. I think the new minions, like the stronger ones that you unlock, are probably a lot stronger later. There's a lot to one of these games, which it makes them hard to balance. That's for certain. This kind of game. If you need to have it be difficult, like brutally difficult, but you also need to have it beatable, and the setbacks need to be recoverable from. And this game is when you lose a hard restart, which a lot of people don't like. Is hard restarts. They find that can be quite unfair, and they're like, "Oh, I wasn't expecting to just get immediately lost in this game. I was expecting to keep playing." So maybe it's like people don't expect things, or maybe it is hard. Can't tell 100%. There's also here's a global upgrade for my zombies. So I do have one of these upgrades. So here's an enemy I've never seen before, Rock Golem, wizard back there. So this guy, he looks fairly tough, and he has a 50% chance to redirect to self. Don't have faintest clue what that means. But yeah, it's again, like the new enemies, like the art is really nice. I wish there was more villains, or if you upgrade them, they change the work, because they have a lot of enemies and they have upgrade enemy looks. So like more art to these guys. And a problem though is this game is kickstarted, which means they have invested quite a bit of like the art and skins into backers and people who paid more. So they're basically taking away features that should be in the game to give as rewards to people who paid them more money. Which I don't know if I'm a fan of that. Like, there is a thing for backing, but I feel like some features, like, you have to consider, should this be in the game or not? And then, oh, am I going to take this away to give to people who only supported me? I mean, it is totally to whoever's making the game's choice to decide what to do. But, oh, that's just gorgeous. I love that little mummy pole thing. Totally people's choice to choose what to do. But sometimes it feels like they are almost crippling themselves so that they can reward people who promise to help them. I don't know. I'm always skeptical of both early access and crowdfunding, which this game is at both. I mean, there are reasons for doing it, but I'm also always skeptical. So you have to be aware of that. Now, let's final opinions. Like, I sort of rambled on a bit there, but this game is pretty and it runs well. And if you want to just experience like the ride, the fun of being Necromancer, you enjoy like a bit of the jokes, they'll get stale after a time. But like, definitely the art, that's solid. The art's solid, and the game runs well. It runs very well. I've had no problems with it, and its system requirements are fairly low. I think it's just a very nice looking game. The sound effects are nice. The music gets monotonous after a while. There's only like so much evil, sad, miserable music you can listen to. But it's just a nice touch to the music. I think it could be more variety, not always dark and evil and sad, but that's a style choice by the creators, and they have every right to do that. Iratus's voice does get annoying over time. Like, it should be disableable or something, because there's only so much of a person like that you can take, I think, is what I feel. Like, there's only so much you want to hear a snide person, and Iratus is snide. Other cases, like with the Darkest Dungeon, which I'm going to have to compare us to because this game's based off Darkest Dungeon, but like the snide character, he's not snide in Darkest Dungeon, he's like deep and melancholy and sad, and like the world sucks. And so
Their burgeoning hope disgusts me.
That can happen over and over again. That was actually a little reference to Darkest Dungeon of like saying like hope rises, or is it just Trick of the Light? I'm pretty certain. But yeah, you can't, I think, have too much of the snide sort of annoying guy. I think you need the melancholy. So, like, his voice being reduced, I think, would be nice. So I can't, like, I like, the voice was a nice charge when it started, and I was sort of with it. It's like, oh yeah, this is fun, this is cool, I like that. But then it started getting kind of annoying after a time.
1,000 years of evolution looks like? Yeah, pathetic.
Ah, yes, nice block there. I'm always skeptical, though, of games that are early release. You don't always know what they're going for. So, yeah, it's a mixed bag, but the art is lovely, and gameplay-wise, it's a lot of fun to play. Like, it's a strategy game. You have to think, but you can come up with some cool stuff, do some cool combos, like the moving around and stuff on the battlefield. Like, I set this guy up here so you can do a charge, and then he moves back and gets me mana, and then you can do a charge game while other people fight, because he doesn't do the most damage, he's a tank. There's definitely, like, strategy and stuff to this game, but I don't know entirely. I think Darkest Dungeon is a better game, and I have to compare it to Darkest Dungeon, but if standing on its own, that's the thing. Standing on its own, this is a decent game. It's not amazing, it's not a 10 out of 10, it's not groundbreaking. The feeling of villainous to it, like, they tried hard at that, which I appreciate. That they really went into the whole villainy thing. I appreciate them sticking to that. But again, Iratus just speaks a little too much. Like, options, voice language, sound, master volume, music volume, effects volume. Yeah, so there isn't even... Oh, and you have to restart the game. Okay. There isn't even a way to turn Iratus off. Which I think should be possible. Although sometimes people are like, oh no, you have to listen to this feature. We put so much work into it. We can't take that away. But I think it should be possible to turn him off. But yeah. It's a lovely art, even if it's a little grim. Like, this kind of weird, cool 3D, 2D feel to it. There's just a lot to it. There's definitely a lot to this game.
Why do I get this sinking feeling?
It's cool though. I definitely enjoy it. I enjoy playing it.
Only for me. I crafted it that way.
And there's just I don't know. It's a weird game though. It definitely is a weird game.
My undead features.
Yeah, again, like, Iratus is very distracting. That's my biggest issue, is he talks way too much. But final thoughts. This game, let's look at its price right now. Price-wise, looking at this game, currently they want to sell it at $27, which is fairly cheap compared to the huge games. And it's going to have a lot more playtime than those games. I don't know if it has more content, but it's definitely going to have a lot more playtime than any of those games. It's currently $25 on sale, which will end on the 31st of July. And it's early access. Why early access? Well, let's see. They want to balance it, basically. They want to just balance this game and see how they can change it, and they basically need a lot of QA testers, and so they're having people pay them for QA testers. And I don't like that. I really don't like that. It's a part of games. That's definitely part of indie games, and it's okay with indie games to a point, but I'm not a huge fan of early access. I feel like you should be selling a finished product. But that's the thing about early access, is it's trust us, but a lot of times that trust can be betrayed. And again, there's like mixed reviews on this game because of that. 60% review this game positively. So it's 40% people that are like, I don't know about this game right now. From my own opinion, I think that this game is, of my whole 2.7 hours played, I think this game has been fun for that amount of time. I've played it. How much do you want to invest in your game? I don't know. You can look at how much do you make per hour and then how much it costs. It's like, oh yeah, I can take that. If I play it like for a few hours or more, maybe it's something worth checking out. Personally, I like this kind of game. I like tactical games. I like strategy. I like building up. I like the magic. I like the feeling of sort of having these undead armies. I'm a big fan of necromancers, so that's definitely a plus for me. This game art definitely is a big plus, just looking at that art. You can look it up online, though, again. I feel like this is a game almost you should wait to see if you want. Like, wait till it's done. That's what I'd say about any early access, unless you really, really want to play the game, is wait till it's done. Because sometimes you can get screwed over, or sometimes the game's just not great. But it is a decent game, I'll give it that. It definitely has the Darkest Dungeon feeling, but you're the bad guys, which I like. I feel like maybe the necromancy should be a little more endless times, and Iratus is a little annoying. But besides that, it's a nice game. It's not my top game ever, but it's playable, and playable in a good way. So, would I recommend buying it? Not right now. Maybe in the future, but at the moment, it is an unfinished product, and one should never buy unfinished products. But definitely, if you like Darkest Dungeon tactical games, that sort of thing, if you like the art, keep an eye on this game. Maybe watch some other people play it to decide more for yourself. But just keep your eye on this game and then see where it goes. And if you want to buy it then maybe reconsider, look at it again, look at the reviews. But at its current state, I would not recommend it, because it's just not done. I'll never recommend a game that's not done unless it absolutely blows my mind. Even then, I might be skeptical. So right now, I wouldn't recommend buying it. But what is this game? Well, it's a tactical, roguelike, Darkest Dungeon clone, except you're the bad guys, with its own unique art style and own cool mechanics. So that's what is Iratus, Lord of the Dead. So I'm going to thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you all next time in another review. Goodbye.